Welcome back, friends. In this video we are gonna discuss about financial ratios. So take two companies, let us say company 1 and company 2. Company 1 having market cap of 1000 crores and revenue of 300 crores with a profit 40 crores and a loan amount of 100 crores with a stock price of 50 rupees. Then company 2 having market cap of 100 crores and revenue of 15 crores with a profit 5 crores, having a loan amount of 20 crores and stock price of 40 rupees. So it is difficult to compare these two companies with the given data. To simplify this problem, we have financial ratios. Let's take the profit ratio of these two companies. So the company 1 having a profit ratio of 13.3% and company 2 having profit ratio of 33.3%. So by this ratio we can tell that company 2 is having more profit than company 1. This is where the financial ratios come into play. By the help of ratios we can choose which company's income statement we shall see and decide whether to invest or not. So these financial ratios are derived from income statement, balance sheet and cash flow statements, which we have discussed in previous videos. Click on the I for the video links which is shown above. There are many ratios to observe, but we will discuss some of them due to time constraint, which are important to beginners. All the financial ratios have one or more ways to calculate the ratio, but actual result are somewhat near. So some of the terms which we need to know before going into ratios are YoY, which is year over year, then QOQ, that is quarter over quarter. So we'll be comparing the ratios from year over year, means like previous year's ratio and this ratio, whether to see the company is growing or not. So the first one, liquidity ratios. Liquidity ratios are financial ratios that measure a company's ability to repay both short-term and long-term obligations. First one, current ratio, which is current assets by current liabilities. So this ratio measures a company's ability to pay short-term liabilities with current assets. So the good current ratio for a ideal case is 1.222. This is considered as the good current ratio. So by this ratio we can see that if liabilities are less, current ratio will be more, which is a good sign. So current assets should always be greater than current liabilities so that to pay off the short term obligations. Next, cash ratio, which is cash and cash equivalents by current liabilities. This includes the bank balance and other cash which is in the reserves of the company to the current liabilities. This ratio measures a company's ability to pay off short-term liabilities with cash and cash equivalents. So the current ratio measures paying of obligations through its assets, but this ratio measures paying its obligations through cash and cash equivalents. So if the assets are less, we can use the cash to pay the liabilities. So this is the meaning of this ratio. A good cash ratio will be between zero point 0.5 to 1. Then next, quick ratio, that is current assets minus inventories by current liabilities. This is a short-term liquidity ratio. It measures the ability of a business to pay its short-term liabilities by having assets that are readily convertible into cash. So the good quick ratio is greater than 1. By the formula we can see that current liabilities should be less so that the quick ratio will be more, that is greater than 1. So by this ratio we can see that current assets minus inventories, which means as the inventories are also the part of current assets, by removing the inventories which are stocked goods, so we'll be serving the liability with current assets. That means when the inventories are less, with this ratio we can judge a company's short-term ability to pay the liability which is ready to convert into cash but not inventories. Next, leverage financial ratios. Leverage financial ratios are used to evaluate a company's debt levels. So the first one, debt ratio, that is total liabilities by total assets. This ratio measures the relative amount of a company's assets that are provided from debt. So whenever a company takes a loan, we will be calculating its liabilities with the total assets. This ratio tells us that what part the total liabilities are with compared to total assets. That means if the assets are double and liabilities are less, the ratio will be zero point 0.5. So the good ratio is less than 0.5. So next one, debt to equity ratio, that is equal to total liabilities by shareholders equity. This ratio calculates the weight of total debt and financial liabilities against shareholders equity. Another formula for debt to equity ratio is total debt by total equity. This ratio tells us that without disturbing the assets, how much a company can pay its liabilities with the shareholders equity, and up to what amount of debt a company can pay with its shareholders equity. That is the point of this ratio. A good debt to equity ratio will be less than 1.5. The next, profitability ratios. First one, return on equity ratio, which is equal to net income by shareholders equity. This ratio measures how efficiently a company is using its equity to generate profits. So equity is the initial investment which a company is having in its books. This ratio will be measuring how much equity is required to generate that income. So a good return on equity ratio will be 15 to 20%. So the next one, this is the important term which we usually see in the markets, that is EBITDA, which is earnings before interest, tax, depreciation and amortization. It shows the estimate of cash flow from operations. Also there is a EBIT, which shows the operating profit of a company, that is earnings before interest, tax. EBITDA margins are used to compare two or more companies in the same sector. The importance of this EBITDA margin is, let us take earnings before interest, tax, depreciation and amortization. In this EBITDA, interests are different for different companies and tax rates are different for different companies. So as the depreciation and amortization, all these four things are different for different companies. But what remains the same is that earnings with respect to the revenue. So if we take the percentage revenue with the earnings, we'll be getting the EBITDA margins. So the company having more EBITDA margins with the other company is best for investment. So this is the importance of this EBITDA margin. So the next one, ROCE, which is returns on capital employed, which is equal to earnings before interest and tax divided by capital employed. This ratio tells us that how much return it is getting with respect to its capital. So when a company is generating profits, it will be either reinvesting in the company or paying its dividends. So the amount which is reinvested in the company, at what percentage it is generating the earnings, this we can calculate by ROCE. A good ROCE percentage will be greater than 10, which is an ideal case. Sometimes some of the companies having greater than 5% performs well in the market. So the next one is market valuation ratios. These ratios tells us the valuation of a stock with respect to the stock price, that is whether the stock is overvalued or undervalued. One of the things which we have to see is the book value. We have already discussed about book value in the video common stock market terminologies. Please do watch the video given in the link in the I button. So the first one, let us see price to book value. This value tells us the ratio between stock price and its book value. So if the stock price is 100 and the book value of that stock is 50, the book value will be 2. And if the stock price is 10 rupees and having a book value of 100, the price to book value of that stock will be 0.1. A good price to book value is less than 3. The next one, dividend yield ratio, which is dividend per share to the share price. This ratio tells us what percentage of the dividend is with respect to the share price. A good dividend yield ratio is greater than 2. So the next, price to earnings ratio, which is share price with respect to earnings per share. As we have seen in the income statement, earnings per share is mentioned in that. So we will be calculating price to earnings ratio or PE ratio by dividing the current share price of a company to its earnings per share. which is mentioned in the income statement. A good PE ratio is less than 20. Sometimes PE ratio is not the constraint to select a stock, because sometimes stocks having more PE ratio tends to perform well. So all the ratios which we have discussed in this video are not the only ones. There are many other ratios. Due to the time constraint, I have discussed only some of them. The ratio limits which I have mentioned in this video, like stating that good PE ratio is less than 30 or 20 like that, this is not true for all the companies. These ratios vary with company to company and sector to sectors. So let us see an example of that. Here is the snapshot of the financial ratios and some details of NTPC Limited, which is National Thermal Power Corporation. Here we can see that NTPC is having a market cap of 1,1863 crores and stock PE, which is price to earnings ratio of 8.12 and ROCE of 9.77, earnings per share of 11.7, return on assets is 3.34, current ratio 0.91, book value 126 and the current price 105. Here we can see that current price is less than book value. If NTPC company is dissolved and all the assets and liabilities are liquidated, the shareholders will be getting rupees 126 irrespective of the stock price. Means if current stock price is 2 rupees or 3 rupees, when the time of dissolving the company, shareholder will be getting a value of 126. This will be changing year after year. So these are the some of the ratios. Let us see another company. These are the details of Deepak Nitrite Limited. This company is having market cap of 24,592 crores and stock PE of 31.7, ROCE 40.1, EPS 56.9, etc. So the NTPC belongs to the power sector, whereas Deepak Nitrite belongs to the chemical sector. Both are from different sectors. But here we can observe that stock PE of the NTPC is 8.12, which is the ideal case, which means that as low as the PE, the stock is good. Deepak Nitrite having a PE of 31.7, which is somewhat good as per the PE point of view. But where we can see that in the last 1 year, NTPC has a 52-week low of 78.1 and 52-week high of 115, and the current stock price is 105. So when we see Deepak Nitrite, it is having 52-week low of 458 rupees and 52-week high of 1989, and the current price is 1803. So irrespective of the price to earnings, Deepak Nitrite has performed well in the last 1 year. And also see the book value of the Deepak Nitrite, which is 172. The price to book value is 10.5, which means that current price is 10 times of the book value. When this company is dissolved, shareholders will be getting 172 rupees per share irrespective of the 1803. So these ratios are the measure to screen some of the companies as per your request or as per your desires. So while screening, we should be taking care of all these ratios so that we can get the right company. So we don't need to calculate all these ratios. These are readily available in the stock screener websites or web apps. So just we need to enter the ratios which we desire and we have to find the companies. So all the ratio numbers which I have mentioned in this video are ideal case, and sometimes crossing the border value implies taking risk. People have never found multi-baggers with safe investments. Sometimes taking a risk in stock market is the way to learn new things by experience. And yes, people have lost money sometimes in markets, and that should be their learning curve for future investments instead of stepping out of the markets. If you want to just beat fixed deposits and bank interest rates, stock market is the right place to do it with a risk. And also for wealth creation. So in the upcoming videos, we will see some more topics related to stock markets. Thanks a lot for watching the video. Please do like the video, subscribe my channel and share the video with your friends. Thanks a lot.